Good evening, Nation's Corner family, friends, and fans. John in South Jersey here, Nation's Corner on location. Continuing our series tonight with WrestleMania right around the corner and taking part just over the bridge from me in Philadelphia. Continuing our series with new and brand new and other independent talent coming into the area for Mania Week, because literally there is a shit ton of stuff going on in and around WrestleMania. You won't be lost for anything to do while we're here. But joining me, more importantly, on the men and looking and feeling better every single day. You know him, you love him, you hear him on Sirius XM's Busted Open Radio. My brother, all the way from Monrovia, by way of the LIE. What's up, Mike?
What's up, brother? How's it going, man?
Always great to sit down with you. And we have a guest.
Yeah. Big boy that we saw last week.
Yep. And you can talk about him for a second while I do this.
Yeah. We got our friend and pretty big guy, Zakk Ramses, coming on the show. There he is, the Miasma. However you want to pronounce it, Miasma.
Right. Yeah.
There you go. Hey, Miasma, hand me my inhaler.
Well, there we go. All right. Well,
that's how you remember it.
Let's get in and get to know Zakk. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Miasma, Zakk Ramses.
How you doing, Zakk?
Good evening, Zakk. How are you tonight?
I'm great. And I appreciate you both taking the time to sit and chat with me and get to take a little dive into the Miasma alongside.
There you go.
Yeah, very interesting. It's an interesting story, and by no exaggeration, a guy making a big impact, especially here in the independent scene in the Northeast, coming down to the Philadelphia here for Mania Week, and we'll get into that in a second. But the 6'9", 280.
280, 285, depends on what the diet looks like that week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Not a small man by any stretch. And Mike and I saw you this past weekend at the Victory Pro show up in Long Island, and
victorious, if I believe.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Zakk Ramses doesn't come up and deliver anything less than victory and destruction. And so you guys got a little there.
Yeah, the artist got himself painted onto the canvas there the other day. So that's we call him, he thinks he's an artist. I say he's Picrapo. He's not Picasso. So.
I can get on board with that. Jake and I have tangled a couple times, and fortunately for him, it's always been in multi-man matches, so he's been able to escape from the full magnitude of what Zakk Ramses brings. But he wasn't able to get away this time. And so he got a little more than he was hoping for. It wasn't on his palette, I guess, or however you call it in the artist theme here.
Hopefully we see a little series coming up, because a lot of times independent promotions, they won't tell a story, but you get a few that do. If you go, you attend the shows religiously, you'll see that the guys, are telling a story, and it's hard too, right? Because you never know when you're going to cancel that if AEW calls for a dark match. A lot of times that stuff happens. Card subject to change, goes from the top all the way down to the smallest promotion out of VFW. You don't know what's going on. But anyway, great job you're doing, and you definitely got our eyes open there.
Yeah, but let's get to the one of the reasons we wanted to sit and chat with you, other than just after seeing you and wanting to get to know you. You're going to be down here in the Philadelphia area for Mania Week, taking part of the All for One show.
Yes,
being I guess put on or sponsored. Not sponsored, but put on by Atlantic All-Star Wrestling, where you have 4 different organizations. You have Atlantic All-Star, 3 Legacies, Wrestling Independent, and Victory Pro.
One CW.
One CW. I'm sorry. That one. I have Victory Pro on my mind after seeing that show because I really enjoyed it. But you're coming together, and it's not unusual to have these shows in and around Mania Week, but this is the first time I've known, and I'm familiar with all four of them and been to shows for all four organizations. This is the first time that all four are teaming up for something like this. Now, you have made an appearance at an AAW show, especially looking at the two gentlemen that now hold gold in that organization. One being, of course, La Crema, Tony Leander, the AAW heavyweight champion and newly crowned, for now, and the newly crowned Horse of Horses, Devontes, who just became their tri-state champion. But neither one, in a lot of ways, measure up to you. Is that what you see yourself as? Do you see yourself as the next belt collector, the next bounty hunter?
First of all, yes, at all costs. The concept behind Zakk Ramses was, and always will be the mantra of spread doom and gain gold. That's what I do. I wreak havoc anywhere and everywhere. If you're seeing me on the show, there's going to be trouble. And while I love that for the sake of itself, leaving with some hardware is the true goal, to show that I am the top brass everywhere I go, and the belts are the symbol that represent my success. And so absolutely, if I'm spending time in any promotion, as I will be more so here in Atlantic All-Star Wrestling in the coming months, I want people to know I came, I conquered, and I made a statement.
Running around like a modern day Genghis Khan. I love it.
Precisely.
Yep.
Arrows and all.
Yes. Very cool. Is this your first time being associated with anything for like a Mania event or anything like this, like All for One?
So on both fronts, yes, and I'll explain where I started training to be a professional wrestler in 2019 in Long Island here. And at that time, I literally just got started around WrestleMania 35 time. So I wasn't in a position to be involved in any events when it was in New York last, which of course is unfortunate timing for me, but such is life. And then, of course, the following year you had the COVID mania. Then you had we were in Tampa, and I wasn't able to make that one. Originally, I was trying to do Dallas, but I ended up having certain complications that prohibited me from doing so. And LA last year, again, I wanted to make that work, but there's been some ebbs and flows, and so for the reasons that life is, you have twists and turns, and ultimately, this is my first Mania weekend I can take part in proper, and so I am very excited. And to your question about All for One, this is my first time taking part in a show like this, in the sense that it being a cross promotional event between four different companies, three of which I've had the opportunity to work with between One CW, Three Legacies, and Atlantic All Star, and so I'm very excited on the level of, as you both know, WrestleMania weekend is jam-packed, and that's putting it lightly. And so how does the local independent level compete with GCW, with ROH, with the 9,000 different WWE sanctioned events? How do you compete with that? And so I think it was a brilliant move to say, hey, let's take four corners of the Philadelphia area here and combine our resources, combine our fan bases into one event. So that way we're not competing with each other per se for space, time, which is not available as is. Let's just bring everyone together so everyone gets an opportunity to compete in front of great fans and be part of this weekend. So I think it's an awesome idea that's going to give a lot of great talent the chance to show off in front of the masses that converge on Philadelphia.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I was very, very excited when they announced Mania and stuff was coming here to Philadelphia. And not so much WrestleMania is WrestleMania. We all grew up watching it. We know what it is and all that. But the first thought in my mind is, man, the indie shows that are going to be in and around here is going to be something special. And not even just, of course, GCW always does the collective. But, just knowing the independent organizations around here. And it was funny. Right after they announced Mania coming here to Philly, my DMs, my inbox, everybody blew up. Hey, where can we do that? What can we do? And all of my friends that run promotions and stuff in the area, their places are. I live in Paulsboro, New Jersey. I literally live 5 blocks from the Monster Factory.
Yes. Okay. Very good.
Danny and Missy are good friends for a long time, and he's like, man, he goes, if you got anybody who wants to come in, tell them get a hold of me quick, man. Spots are filling. He's literally starting Tuesday night, running all the way through. Same thing with Matt Tremont's place, H2O, a little further away from me, about 15 minutes away in Williamstown. He's all booked up, has all kinds of shows going that week, plus the ones in and around Philly. So it's such a great opportunity for the independents to really show up and show out in front of, because we always are looking for the good crowd and a good crowd for whatever show you're on. And, and like we were discussing before we started, you always see the same people, the same shows, everybody, has their promotion they go to and everything. But this is a chance for you guys to really, guys and girls, to come and perform. Basically, it's the closest I put to a global audience without being on some sort of stream, because you literally have people coming from all over the world to this area to see wrestling. And as we all know, yes, it's all about WrestleMania, and especially this year, rightfully so. But who's got that kind of money? And and that's the whole other thing. Like we've discussed before. We have people coming in literally from all over the country from our Nation's Corner group. Only one of us. There's 10 of us total. Only one of us is actually going to WrestleMania. We're all doing all the other stuff. We're going to, some of us, myself included, are going to some of the shows at Collective. I have a completely full slate of independent shows that I'm going to and other events that I don't even want to. I hate Lincoln Financial Field to begin with. It just needs to slide right across 95 and into the river. And that's I'm a union iron worker by trade. I have built a large portion of the very tall buildings you'll see in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But I said if I ever was to be the one to build Lincoln Financial Field, I would have made sure it could slide right off into the river, because I don't like any of the Philadelphia teams at all.
So I'm allowed to say I hate the Eagles on the show.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's welcome. It's welcomed and encouraged.
All right, so now we can be real. Excellent.
Yes. I am not. I am not an Eagle. Don't let my location fool you. I am never have, never will be an Eagles fan.
Excellent. So I knew I was here for a reason.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed about you, Zakk, when we saw you at the show. Okay, inside the ring, it's like, keep your hands and feet away from this guy. You might lose a limb. Stay far away from him. But at your gimmick table, at your merch table, you are a promotion machine. You got everything set up, and this is what we like. I personally like to go and buy stuff from the wrestlers, as opposed to mail, sending away to some website that has a bunch of shirts of you. But how much do you get from there? As opposed to, it's good to have that, yes, but to be stocked up, you were good. You were good. Let me just show everybody. Yep. Look at that.
Oh,
nice. Look at that guy.
Quality.
Yes.
Quality. And the kids, you're a big dude. So those little kids there, they were having some fun. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
as I say, put it on, man. Get the brand out there. Absolutely. Get it on camera.
There was some there. Tell us about that. How the experience meeting the kids and like looking down at them. They see this big, the Miasma, and come out in that red leather and everything. You're just like, ready to kill. It's a good feeling.
Oh, it's listen. At the end of the day, we all fell in love with wrestling at some point along the way. Many of us when we were children, and though our wrestling appreciation changes and evolves and there's different phases of it, the specialness of a child's appreciation of this sport is it's next to none for me. And so to be able to engage with that and be able to feed that for young kids, to me, that's the spice of this thing. You know, they get to go home and they get to tell their buddies about, I saw this giant guy choke slam this guy through a table, and then I saw him after. I took a picture. Look, like that's the immersion that you can't put a price on that. And at the independent level, we have such a unique experience getting to be up close and personal in a way with kids like that. And you know, they may have come to the show because that they love Cody Rhodes, may have come to the show because they love Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks, but we're what they get to see. This might be their first time experiencing what we do in a live setting.
Exactly.
So it's our duty to let them know you're here for a good time and a long time now. This is all part of it. And so I take great pride in that. I think it's a privilege. And so when those kids do come up, I want them to get their money's worth. And you know, whether I'm playing the good guy or the bad guy, I'm going to engage with them. I'm going to be sure that they leave, and if not even to remember me for my own ego's sake, I want them to remember me so they know that was such a special night, and I want to come back and see more wrestling. I want to see more of that. And that's to me. You did see I had a bunch of kids that came by because I will find them in the crowd during my match, and I will be sure that I make contact. I want them to come to me because I want to make that something they hold on to.
I saw that right off the bat that you have a good connection with the fans and the young fans. So part two of that is, who was the wrestler that or the match that you saw that made you say, you know, I want to be a professional wrestler?
So I'm going to answer that in two ways because there's technically two answers. The first match that ever made me really think that I would love to just experience this at some level. I remember being in 5th grade watching The Undertaker and Batista in a steel cage match for the World Heavyweight Championship on Friday Night SmackDown. I guess it would have been May of 2007, whatever it was there, April. And I just remember loving The Undertaker, and Taker, you know, gets out by the skin of his teeth, retains the world title. Brutal steel cage match. Mark Henry comes out and just annihilates this dude and just absolutely kills him. Injury angle because it was during that first period when Taker just started, you know, breaking down every other month, and that never stopped. But so to the point, they were taking him out in story, and I just hated Mark Henry. How could that guy just a 20-minute steel cage match? What the hell is wrong with you? Just complete abhorrence of this man. And so I just remember the investment and the energy I had being like, I wish I could get a hold of Mark Henry. And listen, I've always been a large guy. When I was in 5th grade, I was not quite as large. I would not have fared well in the match with Mark Henry. So I'm glad I didn't try to push it much. But to the point, that was that first match where I felt like this is something that means something to me, and that I have an emotional investment beyond any other form of entertainment I could think of at that time. And so as I kind of went on in my life, I had my fandom. But to your question of when was that moment when I knew, okay, this is something I'm going to pursue now. I was in college. I played football at the University of Delaware, and I was an offensive lineman there. And I remember in 2016, my expansion in my wrestling love really kind of kicked into second gear. And I remember watching Wrestle Kingdom 11. And I mean that show is stacked top to bottom with so many matches. That's an all-time show for me from a sentimental level, and just, I mean, work rate and character, and just through so much great stuff there. But again, I just remember watching Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada in the main event there, and even though stylistically neither of them are anything I am, I have no resemblance to what they do, but the way they carried that 47-minute classic before it was even the 6-star breaking match, I remember watching this being like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to curse in here, so I apologize.
No,
You're
it's fine. You're right, but because that's the exact same reaction I had watching it. Like,
There's nothing but a holy shit.
These guys are literally going to be dead. They're going to carry them out of the ring when they're done because and I was there like this the whole time. I remember I couldn't move. All I kept saying was over the entire holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So I'm right with you on that. Absolutely. Okay.
And that point was like, all right, you know what? I want to do this. I'll never again. Listen, I hope, but I try to be humble when I'm not trying to push my ego out on the stage. But if I'm ever half the competitor that Okada or Omega are, I mean, goddamn, I can rest my head on my pillow well at night. But just even trying to be what they were in my own way, I'm like, that's something that I just salivate thinking about, because what they did, how it impacted me, I was like, if I can do that to someone else, whether that's one of 150 or one of 100,000, anywhere in between, that's something that I want. And it's been no looking back since.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay.
Good one.
As we've alluded to, you're a large guy, and watching you work, especially at Victory Pro, and of course, there's not many that size wise and stuff you're going to match up completely with.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's evolved overall into a smaller guy's game.
Yeah.
But and it's funny you mentioned Mark Henry. Mark Henry, to me, and as he has stated, and I've always loved the big men in wrestling. My earliest Andre the Giant, Bam Bam Bigelow, got Undertaker, Vader, just absolute monsters. Not to steal Braun Strowman's line, absolute monsters among men.
Yeah.
You work that big man style very well. You absolutely are playing to those strengths, but and this is where Mark and I differ. Mark's like, well, they have to work the big man, but I think what it is, and you absolutely fit this category. Yes, you're a big guy and can work that big guy style. That is always impressive because it's this large man just basically throwing around men the size of children,
having his will.
Yes, imposing his will. But there's just to be in the wrestler now, the athleticism, the in the ring is kind of an evolution. So it's not unusual to see a big man, do a dive or a moonsault or something off the top rope and stuff like that. And I to me, that's just the evolution of the wrestler, the folks involved in it now, like yourself and stuff. You bring so much more athleticism to the matches, to the game, that it's not that unusual. I enjoy it, and those that can do it, man, it's really, because you're not supposed to see a guy 6'9" doing a moonsault.
Yeah.
But and I just don't like the ones that try to do it all. Let's face it, if you came out in a luchador mask, it really wouldn't work. It just isn't the right dynamic. But I did notice that, especially how you work in the ring. You kind of move both of that. Is that training based? Is that your own idea? Is that moving upon your athletics? Like you said, collegiate football player, stuff like that. Was it a natural progression or something you've adopted as you've been training?
So for me, it's a little bit of a combination of responses, where ultimately I am a enthusiast of the traditional big man style. I think that it's, when done right, it's masterful, because it's a story that no one can miss. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to understand the big man, small man dynamic. Anyone can jump in on that. It's not working a limb where the layman that comes with their buddy they come watch a wrestling show, they might not get it. You're gonna get me killing a guy that's half my size and him coming back. It's not rocket science.
Sure.
And so to me, it's accessible. And to your point, it emphasizes my strengths, my physical strength, the way I'm able to just create that visual juxtaposition. That's stuff that I can do that no one else can, just due to the virtue of what I have. And so to me, it'd be foolish for me not to do that. But I also, again, I genuinely enjoy it. A lot of the names you listed are all ones that I love as well. Yeah, I love going back and studying New Japan. Andre, when you got to see him, when he was truly able to move and truly able to work, and you see how this man could work a headlock for just laying on the ground for 10 minutes, and it's not boring at all. And he made by the modern standard, you're like, you can't do that. Can you? And that's where it's like,
like Randy Orton Jr.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel completely. There's a lot there in that style, and again, I love it's again more physical, but again, I love Bruiser Brody, I love Stan Hansen, I love the big man, aggressive Japanese style as a gaijin that they brought. I love watching that back, even in the more modern sense. I love watching Albert when he was in New Japan working there. In like the mid 2000s, I think he worked the big man style in a really effective way there, where he's not. I mean, he is a big man. I had a tryout and I was down there, and he's a big dude. He doesn't always strike you as much. I feel like as compared to like a Kane or Undertaker, but he's a big man. But so I think he's a great example of in the modern era. And I mean, to me. You look at independent wrestling in the last 10 years. I mean, I think that Walter, now Gunther, especially his run in the late 2010s, when he was all over the European scene, all over the American scene, that was, to me, that's the epitome of big man wrestling in the modern day, where it's like this. What's the craziest thing Gunther ever did when he was Walter in 2018 in OTT or in Progress? The splash off the top. It's like, but he didn't need to, because no one else was doing that except for him. Especially at that time when he was an even bigger dude than he is now. He just crushed people, and it worked. And so I love that style. I have a great appreciation for it. And I think it is special because people don't do it. Now, to your point about the athleticism, there's a place for it. I totally agree. I do think that there are people that lean into it too much, personally. And again, that's everything in wrestling is preference and subjective. People are going to like what they're going to like. That's it. Just for my current kind of viewpoint, I think a lot of people can do moonsaults. A lot of people can do impressive athletic maneuvers. And so when a big guy pulls out, it's like, that's awesome. But now I've seen Keith Lee do it. I've seen Dijak do it. I've seen, and will I do it at a big guy as well as them? Maybe not, because especially but so it's like, I think there's a time where you bust that out and you show, hey, I can do that. Like, when I want to, I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to do something special there. But then I just like to bring it on back to, I'm going to do what I know 90% of people on this roster can't do, though, and that's my style. That's that big man style, and so I try to keep them separate enough, and then you intertwine them when it feels right.
That's real good, strong psychology. Very, very nice. Very nice.
Well, you mentioned Mark Henry, and Mark Henry always says, so I want to ask you too, as a big guy, he always says, don't give so much of yourself to the smaller guys. If you're gonna have the, it's like you don't walk up to a tree and push it over. You got to chop the tree down. You got to come from a lot of different points. So to me, when the little guy's coming after a big guy like you, I want to say, I may be rooting for the little guy. Who knows? But I don't want to see the little guy. Well, I mean, like you get a clothesline, and like some of the big guys, like I know people have been maybe like with Keith Lee, he gives himself a lot to the smaller guys. Like I can understand the Darby going over on you, but not giving you a drop kick and knocking you down with the first drop. Like the first drop kick should be like a moth flying off of you. Like, get out.
Make them work for it. I mean, they might
make them work for it.
Make them work. Let's say,
you do that. You do that. I noticed that. That's a good philosophy because, and also the the fly, the acrobatic stuff and the ooh ah stuff, that makes the people go, oh, did you see that? Yeah, you're right. That's good. That's good, but not 20 times. You gotta have pick and choose and tell a story. And I notice you like to tell a story. Obviously, you do. Tell us about your story. The miasma. They can go to your YouTube page, which is going to, we got the graphics and everything.
Yep.
All your socials, but on YouTube page, you tell the story of the Greek, the Greek mythology, the Greek gods, and what you're put here in the wrestling world to achieve.
Yes. So to that, yes. Ultimately, I love wrestling for a lot of reasons, but I love it for the stories. And, some people, you put that on social media and they're like, oh, well, why don't you go watch soap operas then? I'm like, well, you know what? First of all, what's wrong with a soap opera? But to the point,
it is soap operas for men.
Yes.
But that's where I'm like, ultimately, I love the physicality of wrestling. Trust me. Again, I'm an athlete. I played football because I like the fact that I could physically attack someone in a sanctified manner where I'm not going to get arrested for it. That was a great thing. I liked that. I love wrestling where I can lay in on someone a little bit and have that physicality. I love that. But the story is what makes it matter. Because otherwise I'm just a big galoot just throwing my feet in people's faces for what?
Yeah.
And so I try, but to that point, what story makes Zakk Ramses different than the story of the guy you saw wrestle in Wisconsin, or the guy you saw wrestle in Tallahassee, or the guy you saw wrestle in Honolulu? And that's where, to the point here, my series, Miasma the series, which is on my YouTube channel, as stated, that's where the reasoning behind it came, where I said, I know who the Miasma is. I know what drives Zakk Ramses, but I want everyone else to be able to understand that, because then they should be able to care that much more about what I'm doing and see how invested I am in this journey, how invested I am in every decision I make, from the way I carry myself, the what I wear, the moves I make, the tweets I make, everything in between. There's purpose, because anything you do without purpose is a waste of time. And so I created this series and invested time, money, and thought into it because I wanted people to know my purpose. And so the short order of it is, it's a 5-episode drama that documents the persona of the Miasma and kind of how I ended up on this quest, which is termed the key, I should say, as the quest of Erebus, which I mentioned that moniker before of spread doom, gain gold. That's where that comes from. It's this this calling that Zakk Ramses is tasked with as an underling of this group called the Grim Guild. And the Grim Guild, they have a larger purpose of spreading the ideals of Erebus, which is a Greek god who is the god of darkness. And what exactly Erebus wants, there's a lot of debate as to what that is. But at the end of the day, Zakk Ramses has interpreted what Erebus wants. And so the show kind of is this philosophical battle of what Zakk Ramses has to do to capture that spirit of Erebus and to capture the goals to properly honor this entity that he follows while succeeding within the realm of professional wrestling. And all that sounds crazy, and that's exactly the point, where it should be ridiculous. Wrestling is a little ridiculous if you haven't caught on by now, but that's what makes it fun, because I'm not here to learn about accountants that want to crunch numbers 9 to 5 and then throw on some spandex and you do some flips and throw some forearms. That's fine. But to me, I always loved, again, we spoke about early influences. My first favorite wrestler was The Undertaker. What made The Undertaker cool? People talk about, like the Dead Man character. Yeah, it was kind of hokey. And when you look at it on paper, The Undertaker's a completely ridiculous character if you try to follow the lore of it. What is The Undertaker?
And yet we still we still suspend disbelief for The Undertaker. He's still the Taker. He's called Mark Callis. I'm going around doing one-man shows, but he's still the damn Taker. He's the dead man. He's digging holes and taking souls forever.
That's it. And we care about that character. We care about who that is because of the way he presents himself, because of the way he spoke. And the history of him and Kane and Paul Bearer and all the incarnations from the Ministry to the American Badass, like the evolution, the shifting of that character. People love that. You look at the modern day in pro wrestling, the WWE is in this boom period right now, and you date that back ratings wise, you date that back business wise to the expansion of the Bloodline storyline, the expansion of things with Sami Zayn, and all of a sudden how that all grew at the end of 2022 into the beginning of 2023, the integration of Cody Rhodes and finishing the story. This is what people care about. And no matter what people say about it's the match quality comes first. Listen, I want to watch a great match, but numbers tell us people are drawn to stories that they care about, that are interesting. Yeah, I talked about my fandom of New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling hit its late boom of the late 2010s when the Elite were really blowing up there, and the real kind of expansion of that was when Omega was leading Bullet Club, and you had the infighting there with Cody Rhodes, and you had Kota Ibushi coming back and reuniting Omega and Ibushi after 10 years of separation. It's all these stories. And yeah, you happen to have incredible matches in there that made it incredible, but the stories are what bring people. And so that's where, as you guys said before, it's so hard to have quality storytelling in independent wrestling sometimes because of the nature of things. And so I'm doing what I can to say, hey, you know what? If you see Zakk Ramses in Dynamite Championship Wrestling this week, and then you don't see me again because next I'm in 814 Wrestling, then I'm in VPW, then I'm in Immortal Championship Wrestling. If you can't see every show I'm on and you can't follow every individual story, here is a story. It's contained on YouTube. Follow it through. That's my story. And when you do see me, this is what you got to know to understand what I'm doing, no matter who I'm working with, no matter what the context may be. So that's my way of saying, I get you people because I'm one of you people. I love professional wrestling. It's why I do it. And so this is my way of saying, buy in to what Zakk Ramses is doing. It's worth it.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of I'm a 43-year wrestling fan at this point. And you're right. You're starting to see it more and more. And especially on independence. Let's face it, independence was okay, well, we have to put a match together. Okay. All right, well, who's here? Who's booked? Okay, you and you. And you two there. Wait, who's in the bathroom? Okay, well, tell them when they get out of the bathroom, they got to do a run-in, and basically it's, whatever was there, we put a match card together and out we go.
Yeah.
And a term I love using now, especially since WWE, AEW, we're seeing the resurgence of Ring of Honor, MLW, TNA doing absolutely fantastic jobs with their individual promotions. That in the independents now you are starting to see it's not anything new or informative. It's the same formula that's always worked. But are you finding that as a performer going to these different promotions and getting work where you can? Because I notice it just from the indie shows I see. There's at least an effort. Some are still doing the same old thing, but a lot of these ones are trying their best to make stories, make people interesting. And again, it's always the same old thing. You may come across a match or something that says, wow, this could really go something. But then their next show, neither one of them's there. Why? Because, well, they're booked doing something else or whatever. And that's how it happens. But yeah, as you said, using social media, using YouTube, using your social medias, you can keep that story going. You could keep that feud going until the next time you're able to get together with that person at that promotion. Is that something you're seeing across the independents now? Because I'm noticing it.
I think that there's more of an attempt. I definitely agree with that. There's more companies I think are trying to create a cohesive consistency between their shows. I think it is trial and error for a lot. I think people, to the point that you made, it's kind of new for some people. And so that's going to take work to make for these promotions to kind of find their voice, find their direction, and find something that they are excited about, and then invest in. And then I think for a lot of wrestlers, I think so many people are used to just kind of show up, wrestle, and then you move on. That how do they build a story that matters?
Right.
I think that a lot of people are a little naive in thinking it's easy, and it's not. And I don't even mean that as a negative. I think, again, that's just a product of kind of the way the system has worked for so long. And we have a responsibility, though, to kind of carry our end. And you spoke about social media, and that's one thing that I pride myself on. And again, I'm on here to talk about myself, so I may as well.
Right.
If you look at my social media, every week I have a match. I promise you, and there's no exception to the rule. I guarantee you that I have a promo for that match. I might not, there's some shows I don't even know exactly what my match is, but I'm gonna have a promo for you about me coming into that promotion, whether it's my first time, my 8th time, whether I know my opponent or don't. I'm going to give you something that if you watch that promo before the show, I'm setting the groundwork. And sometimes I show up and then the match is different, or all of a sudden I'm in a multi-man match or whatever. And maybe the promo isn't even as relevant as I thought it was, such as life. But I'm always going to give the fans the time of day to say, hey, you're spending your hard-earned money. No one is telling you you have to do this. You're making that decision. And that means the world to me, because you're giving me the opportunity to live my dream. So if you're going to do that, the least I can do is say, hey, my match is worth your money. It's worth your time. And here's what you need to know from Zakk Ramses before you go into this. Because if I can't tell you that my match matters, why the hell are you spending money on it? It does not make any sense. And there's so many people that just waltz on in and don't do a lick of leg work on promoting. And again, that can be hard. Especially if you don't know the direction or you don't know your opponent. But I'll be damned if I say, well, it doesn't matter, because it does. And that's, again, from the storytelling standpoint and from the self-promotional standpoint and from the investing in the fans, because everyone deserves to know that they're getting something that the people who are putting it on are invested in. And I am invested in any match I have. I don't care who I'm wrestling, how long, or anything in between. I care about what I do, and I'm not going to let anyone think otherwise. And so I'm going to give you my best every time in the ring and leading up to the ring, because that's how I have to show it and make it matter.
Yeah, man, you get it. You absolutely get it.
It does. Yeah,
absolutely. Because and just just my experience, especially with the independents, a lot of times, you absolutely have everything 100% dialed in as far as your story, your character, everything. Dude, it is 100% on point, and do not, please continue to work on and develop and expand it, because it is absolutely fantastic. But
there's layers we haven't seen yet.
But you're right, especially with independents, because you're dealing with people newer to the business or newer to wrestling in general. They don't know who they are. And I think that is one of the side effects of this resurgence with wrestling, that, yes, you can be, absolutely lights out 5-star in the ring, but after that match is over, it's friend of ours, front row on the Nation's Corner here with us, says it's fast food. It's great at the time, but a half hour later, you're like, I don't feel like it. You don't remember anything about it. There's nothing you can say about it. But if you have story, and I think that's causing a lot of especially the independents, which again, to me, is absolutely elevating the product up. Is that, people are looking at, things and fans are looking at that, because I've always, and I have this argument almost daily with somebody. What you see now in the independents is what you're going to be seeing on television in 5 years. 5 to 10 years, we'll just say. So, and they're like, oh, well, they, and you're right, but everything, all things matter. Your gear, how you look in your gear, what your gear is. Well, who is your character? Who is this person? Yeah, and it's been traditionally one of two things. It's your own personality cranked way up. Or it's a character that you have created in your mind. It might be based off of Greek mythology or, you know, a superhero or something, you know, or even your own spin on an old wrestling character that you grew up watching. But yeah, it matters. It absolutely does, because that's what gets the people in, because what we're seeing on television.
It matters to everybody except The Rock.
Well, we know about, you know,
It doesn't.
It doesn't, and off is where he can go fuck. So
yeah,
but you're right, man. And hearing you talk about this and how you have this whole whole character evolved, man, it is so refreshing to hear on the indies. But it's kind of starting to become the norm. You know, they want to see, people want to see it, fans want to see. You know, you very easily could be, well, what's your character? Well, I'm fucking 6'9". What more do I need? I'm 6'9". There's my character. But no, man, you have all this developed. So, I mean, good for you to be this far on point at this point, man. And man, just keep it going, because it's great. And hopefully, you know, I hope at some point that stuff like this becomes the norm, that we have independent, you know, wrestlers on the independents have a, you know, a defined character other than, and you're right, some people get it, some people never do get it, but if you're not, you know, besides your training and getting all your moves down in the ring, you know, you have to really have to look and say, okay, who do I want to be?
Yeah.
And how do I want to be? And you're right, it's interaction, because when they're there at the show seeing you up front in person, it's way different than sitting home watching SmackDown on a Friday night. And, you know, and of course, that's the absolute top. That is your top level performers with, you know, I know some indie shows don't even have the budget of Cody Rhodes's gear, much less,
exactly.
You know, so, but you have, you know, you have, you know, absolutely state of the art production, audio, visual, 4K cameras, pyro, all, you know, all of that. But there's still elements you can take from that and absolutely take right to you at the small independent show, that you can still, the connection is still the same.
Yes.
Or the ability to connect is still the same, even without all the fancy stuff. So, man, like I said, man, good for you for having all this already, man. You're presenting this, and you have, and you just, like I said, man, you get it. And that is so great to hear that you're this far with this, man. And I hope it keeps evolving. I hope it keeps going right along. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on my TV.
So, I appreciate that. I'd like to see that through for you.
Okay.
Who do you see yourself? Who would you like to face coming up? You know, not you know, they're not picking like a WWE. I'm saying like in the independent scene, who would you like to see yourself, or who have you had a really good run with? You know, who do you want to work with?
Fortunately, there's a lot of excellent answers. You know, currently I am in the midst of a feud with Ron Hunt in Western Pennsylvania. He is, for those unaware, he's you know, he's a Pittsburgh-oriented guy over in that area of PA. And you know, he's done some stints with Ring of Honor, Shane Taylor Promotions, and whatnot. And you know, he's a pro. He's a great talent. We've been working a feud since July of last year in 814 Wrestling, and it's building to a peak where you know, where we both, two companies merged, and we are. We both are the top champions of each respective company coming in, and so it's been a power struggle leading to the unification of the championships, and so it's leading to a big finish here in June at a big show. We're going to have a Texas Bull Rope match to kind of culminate this.
If you will. Nice.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm like, I get to watch so much Dusty film. This is great.
Yes.
And Terry Funk, I'm just going to love it up. But so to the point, he's someone that and it's been awesome. And getting to have that be the peak of this journey, I couldn't tell you how tremendously excited I am, because we've had a lot of fun, and we keep saying every time, we're like, we haven't even done anything yet because that just the nature of how we carry ourselves. We haven't done a lot of moves. We just the fan base loves him and they hate me, and that's the meat and potatoes of it. And so very little physicality, we've built this thing, and so we're gonna beat the hell out of each other in June, and it's gonna be great. But so that's one that
as you should pay it off. Very nice, very nice.
Well, we got a few minutes. We got a few minutes left because we're pre-recording this, so we only can go to about an hour. So,
look at you doing my job.
Here's a couple of hard questions for you. What your favorite go-to cheat food, and your favorite type of music or band, and your favorite type of movies to watch.
Okay, so go-to cheat food. I'm gonna have to spill my guts here. There's so many options, but I'm gonna just say, for simplicity's sake, you give me some chocolate ice cream, and I'm a pig in shit. I can roll that, and I will, whether that's a chocolate bar, give me a Ben & Jerry's, I'll scoop it straight out of the tub, anything in between. I am chocolate shake. Before we're gonna vary up the form here, I will go with that. As far as the second question was what again? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, favorite music or band, and favorite movies.
So if my background here isn't clear, I am a big music fan. I'm a big metal fan. It might be hard to see some of these pictures here, but I've got this is a little collage from. I went to San Francisco for Metallica's 40th anniversary shows in 2021. So this is a bunch of memorabilia from that excursion. Directly behind me was a VIP collection of stuff I got from seeing Black Label Society back in I think it was also 2021. I love Zakk Wylde, Ozzy Osbourne, one of my all-time favorites. Zakk is God. Yes. I got the ZAKK from somewhere. So that's that. I've got over here, I've got a collection of stuff from the band Ghost, which one of my favorite current groups out there right now. I met Papa Emeritus IV. That was from 2022. You guys,
I think you and him might became best friends.
You're hitting a grand slam.
I think you two just became best friends.
We connected for some reason here, right?
I saw Ghost too at back. Me and my wife went to. I saw them twice actually. I brought my son once.
Okay,
and we saw the band Person, and that was at. That was in New York City, really, somewhere. I forget where the hell that was, but then we saw them at the Nikon Theater, formerly the WWF restaurant.
Yeah,
I saw them there, and that was amazing. I saw Papa there, and then I saw King Diamond there, which was it was amazing. It was just so great. But anyway,
I saw Merciful Fate. What was that? 2 years ago when they did their little reunion stint in Brooklyn. I mean, I went to Download Fest in UK last year. For the first time, that was a bucket list one that I finally got done. So, that post over here again. Metallica headline there, Slipknot headline there. Bring Me the Horizon. Again, Ghost was there as well. Whatever was 40 bands over the course of 4 days. So,
how do you like that Ghost version of Phantom of the Opera from Maiden? Huh?
I love it. It's tremendous. I love the different vibes that the band brings musically, but that's what I loved about the Phantom Mime EP. Just we really got a nice chunk of just good old hard rock from them on that record, and I was very happy to get that. Again, Jesus, He Knows Me. They played at Download, and they did not play in the summertime. I saw them in Connecticut at Bridgeport, so I was glad to have seen that one played out live. But I could talk about music for a while here, but
we'll have to have you back again, man.
Absolutely.
Please,
all right, I'm gonna put this up, Zakk, as we wrap up here, so awesome. Folks can have the socials. But the one I'm going to talk about is, of course, Friday, April 5th.
Yep.
It's over here in beautiful Woodbury, New Jersey, at the American Legion.
Yes.
It's part of All for One. Yeah. Part of All for One, 3 Legacies, 1 CW, Atlantic All-Star, and the Wrestling Independent all getting together to put on a fantastic show. But where can folks see you? What other dates do you have between now and then?
So I am in Felton, Delaware on Saturday. I believe you're posting this on Saturday, so I guess that'd be today for the timing of it. But,
okay.
No, this will premiere on Friday. So
so Saturday.
So,
Okay.
perfect. So Saturday, March 23rd, I will be in Felton, Delaware for Dynamite Championship Wrestling, DCW, where I will be defending the No Limit Championship in a 3-way casket match. So that'll be quite a good time. We're gonna see if I can even fit in the casket hypothetically, but I won't because I won't lose, so it doesn't matter. But I've got that one for this weekend. The 5th, as you said, all for one. Following weekend, I'm back out in Johnstown, PA, out west for 814 Wrestling, where, as I referenced my feud with Ron Hunt, we're continuing to build that one up there. I'll be back in VPW shortly, as we spoke about earlier, for our Long Island-based Bayshore location here. Love that company. Great place. Great talent there. I try to bounce all over the place, from Maine to North Carolina to West Virginia to I go all over. I got wheels. If you want to see Zakk Ramses, you'll have the opportunity, because in the words of Alexander the Great's father, there's too much to do outside of Macedonia to stay here. And I butchered the quote, but the point being, I don't stay in one spot. There's too many incredible people to work with, and there's too much wonderful wrestling to take part of for me to stay in one spot. So I'm going to go everywhere, work with as many people as I can, and let everybody get to have a taste of the miasma, because I love wrestling and I want to do it all and just keep climbing the ladder.
Excellent. Zakk, thank you so much for sitting down with us. We are absolutely looking forward to seeing you come down here to this area in April. Continued luck, continued success with everything. We will absolutely have you back on at one time, folks. Remember, look here on the screen, all of Zakk's socials. All of Zakk's socials are listed. Please follow, reach out to him. Thank you again, Zakk. We will talk to you and see you soon. Continued good luck, friend.
Thank you, and thank you guys. Really appreciate you having me on.
All righty. All right, Elder. We're really up against it. I'm going to hang on.
There we go.
We're up, as they say, we're up on the hard out. We're up on the hard out. But that was Zakk Ramses, and this was a lot of fun as usual. So for Mongrovian Mike, or I should go that way, for Mongrovian Mike, I am John in South Jersey, and we will see you folks next time on Nation's Corner on location.